Oh, man, you are missing a treat.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
That's my fucking brain gun.
We'll get into it. We're back at the Appalachian Podcast. I'm your host, Billy Riddle. With me, co-host, and actually, I probably should give him the host title at this point in time because everybody keeps clamoring for him in that accent. It's just something unique about tuning into an Appalachian podcast and hearing a red coat. But here we are, Simon Winch, once again.
Yeah, back at it. Back at it. Always good to be here. Always good to be recognised in the street by someone pulling me over and going, "You're that dude on the Appalachian podcast." Oh, crap.
I've been around for a long time, and I'm much more incognito than you are. It's very difficult. I guess you could go the Ewan McGregor route and try and, hide your accent and sound like you're American, but
I've tried that. It doesn't work. My American accent is absolutely shocking.
we need to hear it.
No, I don't think we should because I kind of sound the cross between Boss Hogg and one of the Duke boys. Or was it Roscoe Pico Train or whatever it was?
Well, you fit in just fine then. If that's the way if that's the route you go, you're gonna fit in just fine. This episode, once again, is brought to you by Rocky Mount Burger Company. They're at 467 Franklin Street, just across the road from the Harvester and the Early Inn. Phenomenal food. Every time you go in there, it's always a pretty good atmosphere. You're going to find somebody you know drinking a beer. Grab you some. Simon and I had the food last couple shows, and it was hot. It was tasty.
Superb.
Yeah,
and it's in a historic building in downtown Rocky Mount. This is what we're about, Come on.
Absolutely. So, football games on Saturday, Sunday, there's always a crowd there. If there's a show going on, there's always a pretty good pregame going on, from the people trying to go across the street to the Harvester. So, it's a good local place to support and, be able to look out for different things they're doing here and there. Check them out on Facebook at Rocky Mount Burger Company. And, so we'll go ahead. And I also wanted to say, also Patreon, we've had some new subscribers on there this week. I'd like to, appreciate them and welcome them on board. It's patreon.com/Appalachian Podcast. $3 a month. You can kind of hear some of the shows we haven't released yet. Black Lives Matter Part 2 and the one with Abe Naff. And hopefully here, as we stated last week, in the near future, maybe Simon and I can do like a 30 to 45-minute Zoom once a week and maybe bring in a different person to call in and we just gripe about what's going on, like on a national level or something, just give our take on Joe Biden and
this could be hysterical.
It could be phenomenal. So that's something good for subscribers. So, you go there, you're supporting us. It's very inexpensive, $3 a month. It's like, 10 cents a day or something. I'm not a math major. And like I said, we're putting all this back into the community. Everything we do, we're trying to bring Rocky Mount and Franklin County into this destination where people will come in here and they'll spend their money, but they'll go home.
And they want to come back.
Exactly. But they don't want to live here. They just want to come back.
Well, I don't mind the guys that want to live here, quite frankly, because then you're generating the bread and butter business, right? But to have and we're going to come on to this, we having the tourist income generating through the county coffers, if that's not a vision that hasn't been grasped, I don't know what else to say. I mean, come on, wake up.
Yes, and you're in my mindset. I want my kids to stick around here. I want them to keep building on, our legacies here. Chasing, crazy shit halfway across the country. It can be fun for a minute, but when you find where your roots are at, our roots are here, and so everything we do is, in a way to try and benefit this area as a whole, because the rising tide raises all ships. And I've seen it in the comment section here and there from some people and stuff. And, you think we are here representing Appalachia. No, we're representing ourselves as our part of Appalachia. And frankly, I couldn't give a shit what half of you say with your, negative stuff. Sorry, but if I go back and look at 5 of your profile pictures and I see some, just dumb shit after dumb shit, your opinion is completely invalid to me. So, I don't claim to represent Appalachia. I claim to be somebody from Appalachia, and I'm on here talking about fun stuff with cool people and telling interesting stories. That's it.
This is where we live.
Exactly. This is us, and I really enjoy the wider range too, and I like tapping into that kind of stuff as well, like the deep Southwest Virginia, the coal mine and stuff. I can't wait to do an episode on the was it the Blair Mountain
Right.
The wars where coal miners took arms up against the federal government. That kind of stuff really gets me all hot and bothered because that's how we are around here. I mean, that's our spirit. And so that's who we're kind of speaking to. And you don't have to love us. You don't have to like our political ideologies. We're not trying to impose it on anybody out there. With that being said, we just want to hang out and have a good time. And you can put all that crap aside. But for those of you who can't piss off, I ain't losing any sleep over it, just to let you know. But this episode is going to be a good one. We have been talking about this one for a while, Simon, about bringing some of these people on, and we've extended invite after invite to anybody running for political office this year. And it doesn't matter what. It could have been Board of Supervisors, Town Council, Mayor, whatever. We did have Holland Purdue show up. And
we've had, off-record chats with Ben Mullins and obviously Phillip. So all these, we're getting a grassroots feeling of what's going on. It's been an interesting run-up to the local election, and it's been eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people. It's been an eye-opening for us. And not necessarily in a good way, but we can provide solutions to that, and I think we're all bloody minded enough to keep beating this drum. We will win.
Yes,
we are going to get through the other side, and we will make this a better place for our kids. Whilst we're at it, let's make it a better place for us whilst we're still here too.
Yeah, who say you can't do two things at once?
It'd be rude not to.
Yeah, we can have fun here, and at the same time, we can really make a difference. And, we do value everybody's opinion out there, whether we like it or not, or whether they piss off or not. You say what you want to say. That's all fine and dandy. We're not going to
That's your First Amendment rights,
yeah,
and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, but just understand you're not going to get a peachy response every single time. But we do appreciate the engagement from everybody.
For the most part, it's been very entertaining. Get it off your chest, Billy. Come on, I know you're dying.
I'm not going to do that. Because our guest tonight wants to acknowledge something at this individual. I tell you what, I swear it's really mind-boggling. It is.
I've never seen you quite so reserved, actually, Billy. I mean,
because I'm actually almost speechless about it. I don't understand how somebody unprovoked, 70+ years old, can come out of nowhere and just start slinging social media insults and just completely making himself an ass as somebody that is a town council candidate. And I actually found somebody dropped off one of his signs in my front yard here. I don't know if it was him.
It doesn't matter. I think that's just hysterical.
I didn't lose my mind over it or anything. I left it up for a couple of days. And
I used to do something horrible back in England. I'll share it because it's a great game, and I actually do it with our neighbour down the hill from us. We used to get to the pub. Normally, if it wasn't a Friday, it was certainly a Saturday night after a good game of rugby, and we get significantly lubricated. And on our route home, because we were sensible chaps, we never drove. We'd take the same route home, and it would be a good mile walk. And we go through various, neighbourhoods, and there'd be gnomes kicking around in various gardens. And for the 1 month of, let's say, December, we would collect on our travels through drunkenness. We'd collect all these gnomes and we'd deposit them at one person's house discreetly. And then the next month, the opportunity we have to go back and raid that house that we'd left them in hidden bushes and trees and tops of greenhouses and all over the place. We'd collect them all up and, one by one, we'd remember where we deposited them and put them in somebody else's house. And this just went on. It went on for years. But it was great harmless sport. So we were sort of robbing gnomes and redistributing them. It was a wealth redistribution program, but it was just very amusing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could have been somebody's trash they just decided to stick in my yard. I needed to.
Well, that was the same thing with the political signs. I mean, you could just have so much fun with them. However, I will add, I believe it's a federal offence to vandalise or destroy or move political signs that have been positioned. So there are the sinister, dark folk, that the cloak and dagger guys that, take offence at various signs and they decide to just trash them, which is very juvenile. But it's no more juvenile than me moving gnomes from one neighbourhood to another. But that's a bit more of a despicable act. I mean, ours was completely harmless. There's no political motivation, but having a pink good sign on your front lawn was bloody funny.
Well, I left it up, and
I think you should.
Well, I did.
In fact, I want it to multiply. There's another challenge.
I did not. I did not really want to take it down. The reason it went down was unprovoked. Every time my daughter would pass it, for whatever reason, she just started kicking the hell out of it until it finally went to the ground. I didn't say nothing about it. She was like, "Daddy, what is that?" Just a sign, baby. And she just go over there and start karate kicking it all the way to the ground. So it finally.
I think there may be a few more signs appearing on your front lawn in the next 5 days.
Yeah. Would not be surprised by that. So
I think there should be.
Yeah. So with that being said, we'll probably get to him at some point. Because tonight we're welcoming back Phillip Bane. You'll remember him from a few shows ago. Of course you do, because it was the most listened to show we've ever had, almost by triple to this point in time. But, all the listeners have picked up since that show, and we've noticed a strong increase. So for all you people that listen to all the shows and all the ones that are here new, we appreciate every single one of you and, your support. So, Phillip, God bless you for coming back on here, being the only one to accept our invite here tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
We like the fact that you've remained engaged, Philip. We've seen the signs come down in the hotel. The lights are on. Stuff is moving. Stuff is shaking. And that the meeting where the land was finally conveyed, albeit with a little bit of theatricals. This was a great move forward, I think, for the town of Rocky Mount. We're going to see progress. We're going to see it moving on in leaps and bounds. Your engagement with being just so open-minded, with giving people tours, giving people an open house, giving people an opportunity to meet you last night at the brewery. Is it up or down the road from here? Up the road, right? This is what we should be looking for. So I commend you for your engagement. And I am just thrilled to bits that things are finally moving in the right direction.
Well, they do appear to be finally moving in the right direction. One of the comments that came up time and time again with the open house was, now, it took how long to get this piece of dirt? And
people were listening, weren't they?
They were. And it was also, first of all, to all the people that came by, thank you very much. I really enjoy walking people through the hotel. I really enjoy trying to convey the vision that I have for that hotel. And it's really, really exciting to see their excitement and to see a building that's been vacant for who knows,
20 years.
Yes, and people who would come in and say, "My grandfather worked in this building," or what's actually interesting, the building was originally a furniture store and a casket store. So you would go to the 3rd floor and Grandpa bought his casket, and some gentleman was telling me about the time they bought a couch and casket at the same.
Now, that's kind of an interesting concept. And then you say the 3rd floor, and I'm thinking there were no elevators at that point in time.
They did have. They actually had. When we actually cleaned the building out, they had steps, and they had moved the steps all over the place, and so they had this big spiral staircase that used to go through the middle of the building, and that was where they would bring the. Gentleman told me that was how they brought the caskets down. And I'm thinking, wow, yeah, I don't know if I'd be wanting to haul a casket down 3 flights of steps.
Not loaded, anyway.
No, let's hope it's.
Yeah. I mean, there's chains and pulleys and all that good stuff that you can have externally. But, I mean, that's quite a concept. 3rd floor, and furniture has never been the easiest thing to move around. and caskets as well. I mean, minimum of 6 feet long, right?
All right. Well, they did. I think it was in the 40s or the 50s. They actually put an elevator in the building, and it retrofitted it. And we actually removed that and put in a new. Went for a new one.
Okay.
So the new elevator that we actually installed with the elevator shaft, it's actually going to go all the way from the basement of the building all the way to the roof. So, and
that was being dug out by hand as well. You were very proud to tell me that.
I did. We did have to dig that out by hand, and I will say that when we were doing the tours and having to go up and down the steps after 2 hours of going up and down those steps, it was. We need an elevator.
Elevator needs to probably be a priority.
They're a priority. So I really appreciate the people that came out and watching their excitement, and they've all asked the same question. So I think I'll take this opportunity to give a quick update. As far as the timeline, we are trying to get the hotel open by the first quarter of next year. Unfortunately, when the litigation started from the town, the contractors had to move on to other buildings and projects, so we had to get back in the queue once the town finally dismissed their lawsuit. So we're starting to get people back and moving forward.
Well, I mean, unfortunately that's the nature of the beast. But that's a sad reflection that the project has been thrown through that loop, and that's the consequence of these shenanigans. But, we'll move on from that. I think that I'm just excited beyond belief to see this moving in the right direction. I mean, you can feel the vibration. I mean, it's great.
Well, for anybody that did stop by the open house, if you didn't, check out our Facebook page. We've got some artist renditions of what Phillip, I guess, did you save that for that day, kind of as a surprise? Because I don't think you even talked about that on the last show, the conference center.
No. Well, at the time, when I was here last time, we had not gotten the dirt. And I was not overly optimistic that even then, as I said, had there not been a competitor for the mayor, that would have never happened. It would have gone another 4 years.
Well, I think being the most popular episode this show's ever seen by leaps and bounds probably had a lot to do with that too. Because finally, your whole situation there has made people get a little bit of fire underneath their asses about what's going on in our town. People are asking questions. They've
got to take this, and this is a point I want to make. And we've got some great feedback on all of the shows, particularly yours, Philip, the first one, that brought this to light. The feedback and comments that we got through there pretty much set the stage. And again, not having skin in this particular game, it's easy for me to say this. We need the citizens of Rocky Mount, the voting citizens, to come out and support not just Phillip Bane, but we need the support of Holland Purdue and Ben Mullins. And I think if we don't get this support, you're going to get, much of the same. So I'm urging everyone to get out there and put those ticks against those names on those ballots. And I'm not, rightly or wrongly, we need a change in direction. And if this is the only way that we can achieve it, I won't apologise for it, because I'm seeing progress already. So let's motivate the folks out there that are listening to make these decisions. Phillip Bane, that's Bane, right? Is that 2 L's with Philip or 1 L?
Yes, 2 L's.
That's 2 L's. Let's talk about Holland Purdue. Let's talk about Ben Mullins. Okay? Get those ticks on those ballots, and let's keep the momentum and move forward. I know that was Holland's big thing about moving forward. I didn't necessarily think the political answer was the correct answer, but moving forward is definitely the only way that we can get this town out of the hole that it's in. So I urge you, and I know there's a load of secret listeners out there, and the voyeurs, but there's also the relatives of the folks here that live next door, urge them, we need this support. We can only get this change and this fantastic uplift and movement with the right people at the helm.
And I'd like to say on the sample ballot, it's the second bin. It's not the first bin.
It's Ben Mullins.
Just think Mullins can.
We'll come on to that one a little bit later. There's two Bens, and it's very important that you get the right one.
Yes. So
and that wasn't by design. I mean, it's just bloody rotten luck.
Well, the interesting thing, whoever, because mine is the last name on the ballot, and I was thinking they would put it alphabetically, but it's not. It's how whoever got their paperwork in the fastest is how they got it. So that's he got his paperwork in very quickly. So as I said,
where was Steve Angles? Just as a matter of interest, I'm intrigued as to where he fell in submitting his paperwork.
I think he was actually second. I think Holland Purdue is first. So,
ooh, now there lies an interesting statistic.
I think it is Holland and then Steve Angle, but anyway, back to the open house once again. Thank you for all the people. I had a absolute wonderful time playing the host.
Are we still invited to do a podcast on December the 2nd?
Yes, you are.
Because that one excites me more than anything else.
Yes, the nice thing about it is, I actually went and got a 14-foot Christmas tree for the foyer, and I'm hoping that we actually get the foyer finished with all the electrical and everything, and then the lights and everything. So for the come home to Franklin.
So how are we doing this, Simon? So if this is
I
the
got
official
no idea.
announcement,
I'm going to wing it.
So just anybody out there who's supposed to swing in there and see us, maybe we'll bring a big cooler of hot cocoa and some pretzel snacks or whatever it is. And if you're just a town citizen who wants to come in there and get your 5 minutes, come in there and get your 5 minutes. Your business owner wants to come in there for 5 minutes and talk about your business, come in there and talk, about your business.
I think that should be just...
Maybe we can do a giveaway or something like that.
I don't know, but I think people have got to come in and say, you're the two clowns on the Appalachian podcast. I can recognise one of you as soon as you open your pie hole.
And the other one, you're Rita's kid. That's who I'm always am.
Well, there we go.
Right.
And, I think let's get some feedback. I mean, and also, I'm hoping that we can revel in a little bit of glory.
Well, I think right now the next 5 days are really going to determine the trajectory of the town because, if, as you said, if we continue, if we vote in and reelect, we are basically giving them a blank check to waste another $4 million because there's no reason for them to make any changes. But we've really talked about all the issues that we're gonna face, and then that's you and I have discussed, and we're gonna have to. We've got our work cut out for us to getting things on the straight and narrow, and making sure the taxpayers are taken care of, and making sure we're getting a return on our investment.
Well, there's the primary right there. I mean, no one from the current administration has come out, and I laid the gauntlet down. Was it 2 shows ago? 1 show ago? I can't remember.
Every show, I think.
I think it's every show I lay some kind of gauntlet down.
Including the Phillip show, I think you've...
We're looking not just to have these guys, in front of a mic, which should not be a threatening position at all. I mean, we're looking for an open conversation. We support First Amendment rights. So have your say, and be prepared to defend yourself verbally, because we will have, contentious opinions that we're going to rattle your cage on. But the invitation has been out there, and we also put that gauntlet down for everyone to swing round and say that they were going to stand for transparency with the financial dealings within the town and be accountable in a fiduciary manner to the taxpayer, who are your bosses. And all I heard was crickets.
Well, I do know that that's one of the things that Holland Purdue has stood on is transparency, as well as Ben Mullins. But yes, you're.
Well, these are the guys that I was not necessarily the I'm talking about the incumbents.
The incumbent.
Not one of them has come up and met that challenge.
Right.
And I hope that every voting citizen, is aware that they have not accepted a really easy challenge about transparency and financial dealings within the town council and the town administration. Not one of them has come up and made that statement that they would support and agree with the transparency with financial dealings and be acting as fiduciaries with regards to the taxpayers' money. Not one of them. So I hope everyone realises the gravity of the silence, because that tells me all I need to know. Now, we've got 3 guys that we can get in here and make a change. And when is the next election?
5 days.
The next one?
2 years.
So we can make a change with 3 folks on this council, and now we've got at the town meeting that we all went to, I saw a glimmer of hope from a few folks there on the board. I saw a glimmer of hope. So if we get the 3 guys in, and then we've got 2 years to weed out the rest, we're still looking at a significant majority difference, particularly with Holland Purdue replacing Steve Angle as mayor, because he has that deciding vote on a 3-3, which is very important. And I don't think a lot of people grasp the gravity of that situation either. So let's get these 3 guys in. I cannot press upon you enough. This is the Rocky Mount town's destiny is in the next 5 days.
Well, I can't believe none of them came on the show, and I get it. I mean, I realize you might think at some point in time that we criticized you, and you would be correct in that thought process, but that's what you're there for, is to be criticized. Now, it's not as if this is Tom Brokaw and Dan Rather sitting here across from you and interviewing you. It's a wanker and a redneck. If you can't come in here and drink a couple of beers and... and that was disappointing about last night. Once again, it was only Phillip, only Ben, and only Holland that showed up at a local brewery here in town. So this was an opportunity for
local business, support local business.
This was an opportunity for people that were running or people that were, defending their position to come up and answer questions from a different side of the public. I know you've had a couple of forums so far. I guess you, Holland, and Ben are the only ones that showed up to every single one, correct?
Wait, that is correct. And as the thing about it is, I want to always be available, because I don't have all the answers all the time, and so. But anyway, with that being said, I'd like to circle back to the. I do want to kind of dispel something that's been on social media from another candidate for town council. Mr. Pinkert made a post on the my conference center that I plan to build. And he intonated that this is going to be this is going to be built by the town of Rocky Mount. It is not going to be funded by Rocky Mount. It is not going to be built by Rocky Mount. It is a privately funded, privately operated, and privately built conference center. And the town has not offered, nor do I expect, any incentives from the town of Rocky Mount.
That's actually a key point, because if there are no incentives required from the council or the administration, as taxpayers, I should be hearing a massive sigh of relief, knowing that you're not about to be shafted. Sorry, can I put that more politely? No, I can't, and I'm not going to be bothered to. But that's the truth of the fact. And this is private enterprise working, expeditiously. They're not going to be working at a pedestrian pace. This is something that's going to happen, and you're not in the hole for it. Wake up. It's a simple tick.
I got his comment right here. Would you like me to read it?
Oh, please do.
Sure.
Can I read it in my best Ben Pinkert voice? I've never heard the man speak, so I'm just going to...
why not? I mean, I don't want to harp on
this is
negative.
A comment question. So we can put it into context here, because I know some people might not have seen the comment. I know, Philip wants to address it in the proper way, but a convention center might be an idea for a county to consider. And now, mind the grammar and the punctuation as well, but not a small town of 4,700 citizens. The town, as all towns, has limited financial resources. Is Mr. Bane going to build a convention center? A convention center, as the one shown, would cost several $1 million. If the town were to build the center, it would be required to put up all of its assets as collateral. A small town in Virginia decided to develop a golf course. After the course was completed, it failed. Lenders started foreclosure proceeding against the town. In the foreclosure, all the town's assets were to be taken. Rocky Mount does not remotely need to consider a convention center. This is nothing more than a person suggesting something that does not have a clue as to how it will affect the taxpayers of Rocky Mount.
The good news there is it doesn't affect the taxpayers of Rocky Mount because it's got nothing to do with them.
It'll benefit them.
Well,
for sure.
that's actually I was going to respond to him, but I can't because I've been blocked. But and as I said, I usually don't like going onto these, this public debate behind a keyboard. But I do understand how it's going to affect the taxpayers. It's going to increase the number of people who are visiting. It's going to increase tax collections from property taxes,
revenue,
lodging taxes, food taxes, sales taxes, more potential customers for the harvester. There's a place that if they want to have
the Burger Company, the Early Inn, the Morris Hotel,
they want to have there will be if they want to have the prom or any other.
That was a subtle beer being opened by Billy, by the way.
The prom they would like to if they would like to have the prom here in Rocky Mount, they'll be able to have that. So it's just a lot of opportunities. And of course, one of the concerns that people said was, well, how's this going to the parking? How is it going to be affected? Well, we need to have a parking problem in Rocky Mount. If we can create a parking problem in Rocky Mount,
we're doing well.
We can then address it. I'm not. And there are solutions to parking problems. We don't need to. We don't need to stymie growth and just disregard everything out of hand just because we think there may be a problem we've got.
Yeah, just out of hypotheticals.
Correct. There's always going to be that.
That's a problem that we will readily solve in a constructive manner. You mentioned something about the prom. And all I can say to whoever is responsible for the prom, will you please stop tying the contracts outside of the county into Bedford County with another year where we have to send our kids from the high school to attend a prom in another county. Stop writing those contracts. It does the taxpayer in this county no damn good, and you've got no business doing it. Please stop writing contracts for future years of prom attendance outside of this county. Stop it right now.
And I can't speak for, as we spoke earlier, I can't speak for kids these days, but I know if it was us, we're going to be drinking on prom night back in the day. So as you're sending kids down 122, which is a dangerous highway, into Bedford County, I'm not advocating that or saying any kids should do it, but I mean,
we know it goes on. Let's be real. I mean?
Let's just
we have to solve our own problems. We cannot just if the kids
can't outsource them.
We can't outsource our problems. We have voted these people into office to provide us leadership, and we're not getting it. But we're still spending the money. So that's what I've heard is it's just a level of frustration because they're more concerned about, well, as long as I continue to get my check,
We're okay. But that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
Now, we can all play that game when it comes to bureaucracy, taxation, which both Billy and I are absolutely disgusted with, that you've got so many tiers of taxation just to conduct business in this county or within this town. It's ridiculous. But we're actively sending business outside of the county because we don't have the facilities to support it. Now, the conference centre It's just a stroke of genius. I mean, why not? And we're not asking for taxpayer money to develop this. The business, what's the expression?
Business incubator.
The business incubator. This is something that's been batted around for years, and it's been walked so pedestrianly by the county and by the town. We look at the commercial kitchen that I'm sure Phillip is going to touch on later. This is another pedestrian attempt at local government to bring something for the benefit of commercial development within the municipality of Rocky Mount. And it's so pedestrian, it never even got off the damn ground. I mean, talk about walking into a brick wall. Just make some decisions. I saw at the town meeting that we all attended, there was even an attempt to table the conveyance of land over to the Morris Hotel, and they were looking to table it again. We need decision makers and critical thinkers in these positions, particularly when the administrators are being paid exorbitant amounts of money to slow walk something. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, this should not be tolerated. And I personally, the only reason I'm getting stuck into this is because it pisses me off to such a degree that I'm not going to stand by and let it happen. You know, I just can't do it.
Well, I actually approached the administration of the town of Rocky Mount back in 2014. And,
dear God.
And I actually approached them with the idea of a business incubator and a manufacturing incubator. And nothing ever came of it. And so that was one of the reasons when I acquired the Curves building, I decided to put an incubator in there. And then my next step is going to be, once that's up and running, is getting a manufacturing, because we can't wait for the government to do it for us. We have.
Well, we're not going to attract, the Fortune 500 companies here. I mean, that's just a reality. In Northern Virginia, yeah, you've got Amazon doing their thing, and there's some various, I think, initiatives that may be sponsored by Virginia Tech. But we've got a business park here, and that is a future show, let me tell you. But that's more of a Franklin County deal than the
it's still an us deal. It's still a tax-paying citizen deal. It's an us deal.
It's still an us deal.
We're in this together.
But when we saw the COVID crisis hit, for better or for worse, there were some opportunities there. We are seeing China slowly implode. We've been talking about pharmaceutical products. We're looking at dire shortages. There's all sorts of opportunities with the implosion of China and the logistical issues that we're now encountering, to have a manufacturing business park that could be in that business park. And has anyone done anything about that?
Well, they have, like I said, they're not. They've got this idea that they're gonna hire someone, and then they're gonna contact another company, and this company is going to come in. Well, it's not going to happen. We have to organically grow our own companies. We have to mentor the next generation. People who have been in business for years, we need to mentor the next generation, and we have to have a place to do that. We need a business incubator. Someone wants to start a company, and they can get started for $250 or $300, whatever it takes to get their office and so forth. Those need to be done, and
I'll take you up on that, because I think some of the framework actually is in place. Whether Franklin County Board of Supervisors decision to invest heavily in the business park when we've got a number of industrial parks, but I know the subtlety of using the word business park came in to that development. We've all got skin in the game here, where we need to develop within ourselves. It's not going to happen. I mean, Philip just said Apple isn't going to come here. No, absolutely not. We need to develop entrepreneurs because we do have that mindset. We're a pretty independent, bloody-minded kind of people, and I like that. That's a positive.
We still need people in this town that know how to put a roof on. We still need people in this town that know how to build, that next generation. So that's not being outsourced and having people come in from Roanoke and Salem and Vinton. We need builders. We need.
Well, this is that was it that CTE development, but again, that's another ball of wax completely.
Right.
But even with the business incubator, though, I mean, you can still run those type of businesses. Maybe you just need it as an office.
That
office space.
That is correct, and we really, like I said, we have to focus on that. And there's a lot of issues that we've already gone over, and things that we do. If there's a change at the ballot this time, if Ben and Holland and I get elected, we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We've got to clean everything. We've got to clean house. And by clean house, I'm not talking about going in and doing this bloodletting of massive firing. We have to go find out what's going on. We don't know what's going on, and that's been the number one thing. People don't know what's going on, and there's a lot of things they want. They want transparency, and we're going to address that. But we are 5 days out, and what I really kind of want to focus on, because I've had the question asked me. They go, well, what is your vision? They are looking for leadership. People are desperate for leadership in this country. They want to know that they're going to vote for somebody, and that person is going to have their best interest at heart. It's not, I'm in office, how am I going to enrich myself? Because we are all in this together. We are a community, and we all have to work together in order to make this a better community, if that's what we want. And I think the majority,
absolutely, this is what we want.
And this is exactly from a majority of people. That's what we want. And as I said to you before, there's a lot of people out there on the internet that are kind of sniping from the sidelines, but those really are a minority. I have heard time and time again, we want this. We want this for our kids. We want a positive future. So, as I said, we're 5 days out from the election. We know who we've got to get in there to get, or it's not going to get done. But one of the questions, and I think someone asked it again, they've asked me time and time again. They said, "What do you see Rocky Mountain being?" And I can't count the number of times that people have asked that. And I always liked when I was in corporate America. They would always say, "Well, come up with a vision statement," which I thought was a lot of stuff. But if we want to go that route, then let's come up with a vision statement. What do we want? And I think what everybody wants, we want a strong, vibrant community that our kids want to live in and others want to visit. I mean, it's not
That's not rocket science, is it?
No, we're not rocket science.
We're not reinventing the wheel, right?
Correct.
I love it.
And and whether it's state, whether it's local, whether it's federal, we're all looking to elect people who are going to provide leadership. When you come in off of work and you've worked 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever you've worked for the day, you don't want to have to worry about, is the government going to implode on me? And especially at the local level, because the local level affects you a whole lot more than the federal and state.
And we've said this, I think, fairly relentlessly, that we as voting citizens can't really make a major impact on the administration in Richmond. We certainly can't make a major impact on the administration in DC. What we can do is make a major impact locally with the school boards, with the town council, and with the board of supervisors. And we can do that by electing the right people with integrity and honesty, with transparency, and they will then have the right administrators with the same rules of transparency doing our work for us, because this is what a democratic republic is. This is how it works. And it somehow got lost because I think we've allowed it to through not giving a shit.
The apathy has really done it.
And apathy has done this. But we are now seeing, particularly across the podcast comments, people are motivated. I think we've woken up a significant number of the citizens here where they now want to be involved. They want to be engaged, and let's keep this going.
Well, also, if all the things that we want, if Rocky Mount is operating like it should, if the resources are being properly used, if we're not wasting it on a lot of nonsense, we have the resources and we have the skill sets.
Absolutely, we do.
And if as it's going back to if someone needs to additional skill sets to do their job that the taxpayers are paying for, let's get them those skill sets.
Let's train them.
Let's
be in that position.
So
let's have a CTE
for
premises.
Right. As you know, as I've said time and again, when I go into the hospital or a business, I expect that the person who's waiting on me is qualified to do the job that the company is in. We should expect no less than from the local government.
Absolutely. I mean, and we're dealing with these are fundamentals here.
They're very basic.
This is it's fundamental, right? If we're dealing with hospitality, there's a certain set of rules that you abide by, and guess what? You're going to succeed. We have not reinvented the wheel.
Correct, and that was one of the things. The government should be helpful, not adversarial, because you accomplish so much more
with a carrot than a stick.
Yes, if you go in and you feel that, okay, this is not a got you moment every time you deal with the government, that's not what people want, and I would think that people, working in the government would not want to do that because that's their neighbors they're waiting on. And I've always told this story when I left I worked for the Veterans Administration and I quit January the 2nd, 1998. And what kind of pushed me over the edge, I still remember I was just frustrated because we were never accomplishing anything. And my boss said to me, he goes, "Philip, why does this bother you?" He said, "We are the government. We get paid every 2 weeks whether we do anything or not." And I said...
There it is.
I said, I don't want to be on my deathbed knowing I just got a check every 2 weeks.
Let's change that mentality.
Right. Well, and what's interesting about some of the comments that's been on social media, people going, well, it's going to fail. Well, maybe it is going to fail, but I would rather fail gloriously and like I said, be on my deathbed, an abject failure, but I've tried great things, than to be just, let's say, collecting a check.
Collecting a check. Now, and therein lies the classic example, and for those people that don't know it, WD-40 was named WD-40 for a good reason. It failed 39 times before it became WD-40. So there's nothing wrong with failing, so long as you stick at it.
Right.
Okay? And this is where we need to be. And this is where we need local government to be. This is where we need town council to be. This is where we need board of supervisors. And this is where we need the administrators to be. And if they're not on that page, get the hell out of Dodge, because you're in my damn way.
I mean, how much better would it be to, I mean, what is, when you go into a restaurant or so forth, they'll go, "How can I help you?" I mean, that's, would it, why
it's an opener.
Why should we not expect our government when we go, how can I help?
Oh, you need a permit for that. Yeah, no, yeah. You need to go and see so-and-so for that. Oh, yeah. But I'll send you to another building, and they'll send you to another building.
And so
stop that.
Yeah, let's and we've got to start somewhere. Like I said, this has been building for a long time, and so we really have to start somewhere.
The opportunity is presenting itself in 5 days.
Correct.
It really is.
So one of the things that I've always said about politicians is, we vote people in for all the wrong reasons, especially at the local level. Well, Billy Bob caught the winning touchdown back in '42. There's a lot of things that, or he's my friend, or he's, our family has known his family. And one of the things that came out in a conversation when I was talking to voters, a woman said to me, she goes, "Yes, Rocky Mount needs it's a lot. We've got to make a lot of changes." She said, "But town council is doing the best they can." And I said, "Ma'am, if you're going in for brain surgery, do you want a physician that's qualified, or do you want the janitor who's going to come in and do just the best he can?" I want that brain surgeon.
Yeah. And this has got to change.
We have to get some qualified people in these leadership positions, because they can't lead if they've never done anything. And that's what I actually look back at some of the bios on some of the people, and I'm going, if you did do anything, it's been 30 years, and how are you going to relate to someone?
Well, we've got
struggling?
Complacency. We have complacency, which is one thing. But I agree 100%. The new blood that we need in, and the destiny of this town is going to be judged in 5 days.
Well, Phillip here's part of the youth movement here in.
Well, he's one of them youths.
Yeah.
Yes, someone brought it to my attention that I'm not really the youth movement since I was 56, which I'm not really sure why that got broadcast all over the world. But
well,
it is we're
ruthless. I mean, we take no prisoners.
So the question, as I said before, how are we going to do this? It's great for me to say I support housing or I support the CTE, but what we find is that, how do you get down to the nuts and bolts? And I think that's what most people want to know. They don't want to hear this platitude of, I support X. How are you going to support X? So the question is, how do we truly transform our community? Well, as I said, once we get past all of the house cleaning and get those things behind us, we really have to focus on three main things. And the first, number one, we have to focus on tourism. We have to find a reason for travelers to visit and stay in Rocky Mount.
There's a good reason you explained to me earlier about the tourist, and never knock the tourist as much as they are knockable. Yeah. I'd like you, Phillip, to explain the difference between the tourist dollar and the resident dollar.
Well, I will tell you a slogan a very wise person told me, and they own a hotel, and this person said, they pay, they stay, they go away, and that's the beauty of tourism. They come in, all of the resources that they bring to your town stay to be used by the local government. They're not putting their kids in your school. Nope. They're not doing anything.
There's no stress on the existing system.
That's right.
They're in and out fast and dirty.
And they come in and they're happy, and they're at a good chance they're coming in, they're tourists, they're at a happy place, they're going to restaurants, they're happy. They're enjoying themselves. They're tipping the waitresses who's got that she's making good money, and she's putting it back in the community. And we are right outside Roanoke. I mean, with this conference center, I've already had a number of people who have contacted me and said, we want to do this conference. I've had event planners. I've already got 2 event planners that said, let me know when we can start booking this. All the
think of the spin-off revenue in that alone.
Think about this. Let's say you've got a conference and they're there Monday through Friday. Well, you could schedule 3 concerts Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with just local bands. Well, they finish finish their conference for the day. They go down. They have a concert. They eat a number of restaurants.
I mean, they could do skeet shooting down at Summit Springs. You name it. They can go on the Virginia Dare.
Yeah. Go shoot the cannon. Get on the podcast up in Callaway.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, there's any number of things, and the nice thing about it is a lot of times those people who are those people that are at these conventions, they're on a per diem. They're they've got money to spend. The company's put and all those resources, because with our average income right now, we're not going to flip a switch and have high-paying jobs here. This is going to be...
It's going to take work.
It's going to take work, and it's going to take time. So the low-hanging fruit really is focusing on tourism. That was one of the reasons that my focus was on the hotel and the conference center. Tourism is your low-hanging fruit. That's where you're getting money, and the cost of goods is the lowest. Okay, so that's the big thing. If we can build up our tourism, then it gives you money to address the next major thing. And you know as well as I do, money has a way of greasing the wheels.
Every single day.
So the next thing that we need to do is we've got to focus on housing. We have got to focus on housing. If people don't have a place to live, it pretty much... everything else becomes secondary.
And we're not talking about single wides dotted, down various corridors of 40, 122 and 2. No, we're not going down that road.
No. And here's something interesting. So there was a story that Salem, Virginia is, there's a developer in Roanoke, and he is going to build a apartment complex in Salem, Virginia on the old Valleydale site.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 300 and something units.
Wow. Significant.
$50 million investment. The Salem is going to give $10 million towards the project to get it going. But the tax assessment on the property is going to go up from $1.4 million, I believe, to $42 million. So they're going to be getting a massive amount of tax revenue from it.
So partnering in with that percentage in mind is a very frugal way of investing taxpayer money.
It is. And here's what's actually interesting. So, I tried to answer this. I tried to put this out last night, but sometimes it's very difficult when you're doing a candidate forum, getting something out there in 30 seconds or less. All of life could not be broken down to a soundbite.
I'm afraid not. Thankfully.
So right now, a housing unit to meet all the codes is running approximately $200,000 per unit. That's per housing unit. Okay. So,
well, I'm trying to think of a reaction that would be appropriate and suitable, and I don't have one.
So with the cost of, by the time you take all the cost into it, the average national cost per housing unit is $200,000, or 5 units per million. Okay. So now that sounds like a lot of money.
It does.
But here's actually what's interesting. If the town of Rocky Mount,
sorry, you just read my lips.
The town of Rocky Mount, the harvester lost $8.3 million in 8.5 years. So if they took that
we know of,
and if they took that $1 million a year, once we get the harvester running like it should, if you take that $1 million a year, the town could build 5 units for no additional funds from the taxpayer a year.
As a partnership.
Well, no. That's just if
just on their entirety.
On their entirety. If they partner with a developer and take that $1 million and partner with a developer, then they can build 25 housing units a year. So
and probably get a return on the investment a whole lot quicker. Well,
and I've said it before. I haven't looked at the harvester, but I've gone into too many companies. Since 1998, all I've done is bankrupt companies. And I will tell you, if you have got a facility that the building is paid for and you can't turn a profit, you have a problem with management. Every bankrupt company, every struggling company I've gone into, it is always management. So I know that everyone's saying, "Oh, we're going to lose 300,000." I'm not. I don't believe that. I believe that we can make the Harvester a standalone entity that is covering its expenses. If not, we need to continue to look at it.
I absolutely agree with you, 100%. This can be and should be a profit. It should be a profitable business.
It should be.
Well, you made a good point last night at the forum up at the brewery. When you were talking about this, you said even if the Harvester lost $200,000, $300,000 a year, that would be okay, because if you have 180 shows a year, you're going to get back that revenue in food taxes, sales taxes, alcohol taxes, whatever.
Pay taxes, etc.
From Rocky Mount Burger Company, from Twin Creeks Distillery, from Anastasia's, from Hina's, from the hotel restaurant when it comes in. Like, all those people are going to want to come somewhere and eat.
Yeah,
actually, that was not attributed to me. That was actually attributed to I forget who did say that, but that was not me, because what I actually said was one of the things that one of the people that I used to work with, he made a comment to me and said, every deal rises and falls on its own merits. The Harvester, this looking for this peripheral benefit, that should not be our go-to. Our go-to should be, how do we get the Harvesters so that it's covering its expenses? The building is paid for.
There's no excuse for it running at a loss. Absolutely none.
If we need to rent it, the Harvester is not the Taj Mahal. Let's bring other things. Let's bring local acts. Let's bring national acts. If somebody wants to use it for an event, let's let them. Let it make it money. There is no such thing as static real estate.
Well, we can't afford, under the small tax basis that we have in Rocky Mount, to subsidise a loss.
No, we can't. But there's no reason for us to.
No, I'm not saying accept the loss. I'm saying, why the hell are we accepting the loss?
Well, and the problem is
obtuse management.
Well, you don't know. We don't know. We don't have any idea really what's going on. And the more, here's the thing. If it's a private entity, well, it's not the object of government to make sure a private entity makes money.
Yeah, you're damn straight.
But if they're going to play it's a private entity card so that we can keep it hidden from you, then pay the private. Then you carry your own. You pay your own bills.
Oh yeah.
So
what are you coming to us cap in hand as taxpayers via, the administration and town council?
Right.
That's not how that works.
So interesting. This is a total rabbit trail, which I try to avoid, but I'm going to go down it anyway. So I have a friend of mine, and he sent his daughter off to school, and she'd gotten into college, and sometimes the professors tell their kids stuff that's not in their best interest.
All too frequently.
It came time for her to her grades to come out for the spring, and her dad said, "What grades did you get?" And she said, "My professor said I didn't have to tell you. I'm an adult." He goes, "Fantastic." Fall came around. She comes down with the tuition bill. He looks at it and he said, "Take this to your professor and see how he's going to handle this." He said, "I don't get to see the grades. I'm not paying the bill."
If that's your counter.
Yes. And so, it's one thing if we knew the money.
That's a good analogy, by the way. I do like that.
If we know the money is being invested, I don't have a problem the money being spent. If the money's just being wasted, I have a problem with that. And I have a very difficult time when you're losing $1 million a year. I have a very difficult time going to 4 families in Rocky Mountain and say, we're going to take everything that you make just to cover the losses for this empty building.
Yeah.
I don't have the stomach to go do that.
No, we need to change that. I mean, and that's a mentality thing, because if we don't approach this, it's ingrained. I'm kind of reluctant to admit this. It's ingrained through the last several years where it's become acceptable.
Right.
And that to me is quite shocking. That this is an accepted course of business. And we can't afford to do that.
No, we can't. So here's something else, because everybody keeps talking about housing, housing.
I love the housing analogy.
Well, I've got one that's going to make you feel even better.
Oh, I love it.
So we've got, one of the questions that came out was, does the town need an assistant town manager? And my response was, we don't know at the moment, but I find it difficult to believe that if everybody else is running their town without a town manager,
we're struggling to justify it right now.
Correct. Okay. So here's another thing. For what we're paying the assistant town manager, we could actually build 3/4 of a housing unit. Okay. But if we were to partner with a developer, it's actually going to be almost 4 housing units for what we're spending on its assistant town manager. So think about it. If we got the harvester under control, that's 25. We get the assistant town manager, that's another 4. We get a town manager that we're paying market rates.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden now we've got, we're up to 30 units. And we actually started addressing, and that's low-hanging fruit. Those are 3 things that we just know about. We haven't even gotten into the budget yet because we're from the outside looking in. This is just the stuff that we have been able to find out by FOIA.
Yeah.
Maybe if we weren't spending $20-some thousand a month on lawyer fees from big law firms in Roanoke to, things like that.
It's the responsibility. If I had an attorney. And here's the problem. And I know you and John Boytnott are good buddies, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I explained in the show. I mean, I'm in an awkward position there. I know the guy. We've got history, but there were some very valid questions that are brought up.
Well, and here's the issue. He is the town attorney. Okay,
and has been since 2006,
correct.
2005.
So if you have an attorney and their job is to keep you from getting sued, if you're constantly getting sued, you have to go back and say,
I'm getting bad advice.
But see, he's incentivized to let the town get sued, and here's why: he's getting paid for every hour that he works. It's like that long, that 6-page thing that they dumped on me when they were filing the lawsuit, and they dismissed the case. Well, there's no telling how many working man hours went in to create that.
Yeah.
And guess who paid for it?
Taxpayer.
That's right. So if it's like so many different things, we keep getting sued. Put things in place so that we don't get sued. So we've incentivized him by the incentive is wrong.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Correct.
Is what we're in, and that isn't just with attorney fees. This goes down through the whole gamut of management.
It does.
And that self-fulfilling prophecy, and this goes over to the board of supervisors as well in Franklin County. It goes across every board of supervisors in every county. I'm sure that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and jobs for the boys and job protectionism, and justifying one's own position, and that mentality, we have to stop, because it's crushing innovation, it's crushing entrepreneurial skill, and it's all doing it on the taxpayer dollar, and this just doesn't cut it.
No, it doesn't. We have to become competitive.
Yep. And we're not doing it right now, let me tell you.
No.
Because I'm seeing money, talking about pissing it away. That's exactly what's going on. And we can't do that.
No, we can't. So, if we do this, just those simple things, all of a sudden now that doesn't include the increases in tourism money, because that money's just going to
that's exponential, potentially.
Yeah. So now
there's that one word, exponential. Yeah. My goodness me, isn't that a beautiful thing? Watch out.
And then now we have places for people to live. So then we're going to be able to attract industry. And we can start manufacturing here. We can
from small acorns grow bloody great big oak trees.
That's right. So now all of a sudden, the people who are coming from the business incubator, people who are coming from the manufacturing incubator, all these people are they're local people that want to live here, and they don't have to live just in the town. I don't have a problem. They live in Franklin County. They live in Henry County. We want their business here. We want their business tax. We want them creating jobs. We want our kids.
Money creates money.
That's exactly right. And we want our kids to be able to go, I can go and work for this company, and I can thrive. I can make a good living.
And raise my family here.
Right. And I can be because we all want our kids near us.
Yeah. And at the moment, I'm telling you now, they are fleeing the nest.
They are.
And, it's only through God's graces that we live in such a wonderful county that they will eventually come to their senses, and find their way back here. But we're going to lose them for a very tax-productive time in their life if we want to get down to the nuts and bolts of taxation and how it works. We're going to lose that tax revenue during some of their most productive periods before they, see their senses and say, you know what, Mum and Dad, man, you lived in, it's just beautiful. My memories are great. I'm coming home.
Well, and another thing that's actually, on the housing market, I've talked to a number of people who are 70, 75, 80, and they live in these big houses, and they're
looking to downsize.
Yeah, they want to downsize, and we need to focus on
be closer into town so they've got the amenities.
I have talked to a number of people who have these big houses, and they're like, I would love to move to town, but there's nowhere for me to go. And here's the beauty. Once again, after the tourists, the next group to have are the retirees, because once again, their kids are not their kids are not taking services. Mm-hmm. They're paying property tax on their car. They are,
Don't get me on that one. That property tax and cars is really.
But if you if you have someone who's on a retiree and they're looking for security, they're looking for
fixed income,
they're looking for their health care, they're looking for a certain thing, and we all can't afford these large facilities that just are.
There are so many folks now, and I'm personally seeing this, that have had their lake properties. They've come down, they've decided instead of going down to Florida, they're coming to the lake.
Correct.
For all the right reasons. Just don't bring your New Jersey politics with you. But anyway, we'll move on from there. But they're moving to the lake. They're buying these fantastic lakeside properties, and spending some big bucks doing it.
They are.
And then they've got the reality check that if it's not one of those lovely flat lots that cost them, 1.5, 2 million, whatever, they've got, those inclines and rather goat herding properties onto the lake that they can't manage them.
Correct.
And they're looking to downsize, and, that's a market, a huge market.
It is.
And the kids might be the ones that come down and move into the lake that then subsidise the parents or the grandparents to downsize into a more community-based property that has the amenities that can support them. They haven't got to do long drives. They're not using a zero-turn mower on a 15-degree incline, and all these things that are just, there's a disaster in the making. So, and I'm seeing this. So that's a very valid point.
And they're looking for and people are looking for a quality of life. They want.
We have the medical here
with
Roanoke and Carillion. As much as I despise Carillion for certain things, but the facilities are here, and this is a very stable place in which to retire. And it beats going down to the humidity and sweat of Florida.
That is correct. And I have a place in Florida, and you're exactly right. But Florida, it's a lot of people.
Yep. Well, that's what they call them when they come down and they go to Florida and realize that the summers and the humidity is just too much for them. Then they come back to Virginia. They're called halfbacks.
Yeah.
But coughing and chirping away here.
If like I said, these are all opportunities that we are the county seat. Rocky Mount is the county seat of Franklin County.
As I've said, the Rocky Mount needs to be the jewel in the Franklin County crown.
It does, and we can. We can.
We have to strive for that.
We should get away from the crown analogies.
I should a little bit, but
I'm just saying. We fought a whole war to get away from that.
We have spent, like I said,
touche, Billy.
We have got. We can't kick the can down the road anymore. Now, as I said, it all really does come down to in the next 5 days. It really does, and
I think your 3 points of discussion are the immediate future. This is the focal point. I think to address the town council with some movers and shakers, some decision makers, some critical thinkers, some innovators is where we need to be. And I'm only seeing 3 names on the ticket that really meet that bill. And that is Phillip Bane with 2 L's, and there is no I in Bane. There is Ben Mullins, and of course there is Holland Purdue. Tick those ballots, folks. It's very important because I think the destiny of the town and its long-term future would be in very good hands.
Oh, absolutely. And, when we talk about tourism, I think a lot of the people out there in the comment sections, you'll see these people that say, well, what's the hotel going to do? Or what's this going to do? Or what's that going to... Well, you got to put things into a lot of perspective. For one, okay, you've got 5 Ferrum College football games where you've got people coming in from out of town that might want to just stay here for the night. You've got multiple festivals. You've got pageants. You've got sporting events, high school, college. And then you've got people out there that just say, I want to come to Roanoke for the week, but I don't really want to stay in Roanoke.
There's going to be the harvester.
They're going to say, well, hell, this place has got a cool music venue. They got a hotel I can walk to, a couple restaurants. And I can also drive, too, because this is 2022, so I don't have to necessarily be stuck downtown the entire time. But there are a ton of opportunities if you just got to get creative with it. You have to think.
Someone had told me that, and I did not know this, that there are 9 wedding venues in Franklin County. And I said, why? And they said, well, you need to understand, in Franklin County, we've got the water, we've got the mountains, we've got every single thing that you could possibly, whatever. Love
is in the air.
That's right. All these things. So, 9 wedding venues. Gentleman came, one of my reps came in, and he said that he had stayed at the Holiday Inn for the Martinsville Speedway, and it was 100% occupied. And his bill was for 2 nights at Holiday Inn, $650.
Oh, they jug up those prices every race weekend, every year.
That's obscene. That's gouging.
Every time they do it.
Yeah, So, and he said it was 100%. It was 100% full because Martinsville was full. So, what's it going to be like for we can pull off of Danville. We could pull. There's just so many things that we could pull away from. And once again, bring these people in, with their revenues will get the wheels turning. It will pull the weight off of the taxpayers. It'll create higher paying jobs for the taxpayers who are here. It will give the kids the next generation, jobs, all these things will be our future. We just have to we just have to set it in place. We don't set it in place.
The opportunity is immense. It's immense. And we cannot go down this road of stagnation any longer. It's not acceptable.
No, we need visionaries. We need people who can see.
Leaders.
And you know what?
makers.
I don't know everybody on the council. I don't know all these people making decisions, so I can't pretend to understand where they're coming from. But I can make assessments based on evidence, based on empirical data. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's really hard for a council and management that is 65 plus to be making decisions that are going to benefit 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, because they haven't been in that time period for almost 50 years of their life, 40 years, 50 years, and so much has changed in that just from my lifetime. You know, we were like the last generation who knew what it was like to call somebody on the landline and say, hey, I'm coming over your house, pick you up. You know, you had to be waiting outside for them when they got there. There was none of this texting you, hey, I stopped at the store, none of this stuff. You know, we didn't have the internet growing up. We got it prominently around high school. So as much as the world has changed, like if you're not gonna, and I'm not saying be progressive, because I do like being conservative on a lot of things. I don't want Rocky Mount to turn into Bourbon Street, but at the same time, I want people to come and I want people to enjoy, and I don't want them to leave. And I want the good people to come and stay. People that are going to build onto what we have here, and just
you're talking legacy.
Absolutely.
In the best possible terms. I'm not talking about presidential legacy. I don't give a crap about it. We're talking about the legacy that we're passing on to our next generation. And, you know, we can control that.
Yes, but we have to acknowledge the fact that when we have boards and council members of people that are way out of touch with where society is, and that's not no detriment to them. They're just living on a different timeline. It's really hard to keep up these days. I mean, the technology is constantly changing.
Well, when you hide yourself behind two glass locked doors and never see the general public or your constituents for 4 years and not held accountable to them, even though they voted for you, that's what you get.
Well,
okay.
and that's one of the things somebody made a question for me, and I said, you know, one of the things administratively is term limits. You do not. I'm not going to be sitting on it. You're not going to see me in, you know, oh, there's Phillip, he's 75, and we can't pry him out of that seat with dynamite. You don't have to worry about that.
He's a piece of furniture in Old Town Rocky Mount.
Right. You know, because, you know, I want to see this company, I want to see this town thrive. And,
we all do.
And get the things in place, and then bring in another generation of high energy people.
And it takes energy to do this.
It does take energy.
And you can only put a certain amount of energy in. I mean, and to me, the term limits is a great way, because there's one thing that you want to do when you're presented with a term limit, and that is finish strong. Right? So when you finish strong, you'll give an impetus for the next guy who's coming in that's going to launch them into, you know, that next stratosphere of achievement. And, you know, just get the vision. Come on, get the vision. It's there. We can grasp this. We really can.
And that and people want it. You know, that's
absolutely.
Just that
we're seeing it on the podcast. I'm getting, you know, I'm getting random phone calls all over the place. I used to curse at the phone because it would be normally a spammer. I can't do that anymore, because it could be someone swinging around going, hey, I love the podcast. I heard it. When are you seeing Phillip next? I want to have a chat about this. We want to, you know, and I can no longer curse at my phone the way I used to.
No, you still can. I do.
Well, I still can, but I can't use it as an opener. You know, but you know, we got to grasp this. This is a great opportunity. This is a great time to be here. You know, and we can see the potential of change in a fantastic light. So, you know, let's just get on board, people. You know what you got to do. Just make it happen.
It matters. It does. You know, and this is exciting times in Rocky Mount, and you know, the future the future has the opportunity to be fantastic. We can make this what we want it to be, and we can make it, the all the things that they want us to address. We can do that with the right people. And some. We can have a great future, but you got to get out and vote. You got 5 days. It's next Tuesday, so you have to get out and vote.
And even beyond voting, we still need you still need to show up. We still need to show up to town council meetings, board of supervisors meetings, if for nothing else, but to make that room just a little bit warmer, because they're out there wearing their suits and their ties, and it can get hot in that room if you got a bunch of people in there, especially maybe if they swing by the burger company or the hotel and grab a brew before they head in there. That alcohol will emit just a little bit more heat. And those decisions up there will be more calculated because they don't know who's going to show up the next time. They don't know who's going to show up the time after that. You have to, and like I said, we've mentioned on a couple of shows, maybe we'll start doing a tailgating session somewhere. Maybe we'll sit out there across from the Armory in that damn parking lot. We'll set up grills. We'll play cornhole, barbecue, whatever we got to do. And then at 7 o'clock, we all go in there smelling like smoking alcohol, and we hang on every word.
And well, they do. Like I said, I do want, if I'm elected, I want the public to hold me accountable.
You should expect it.
That's
because
exactly.
We want that engagement. We now see how many people that go and vote know the person and can stop them in the street and say, by the way, I think that your policy decision on X, Y, Z was garbage.
Right, and at that point, I've said it before. You're not going to get everything that you want, but at least, if you say this is what we need to do, and I say I can't do that, at least I can have a conversation with you and say this is why we didn't.
There's some nuances to why you can't.
Correct, because sometimes we've all done things that had unintended consequences. And
plenty,
and we really have to, we really have to make our decisions, and we've got to think them through and think with the long term, because we are trying to create a better future for our kids.
That's the key.
But we also want a better present for ourselves.
Oh, of course. Is that selfish of us? I don't think so. I don't think it's unreasonable either. But to be able to engage with our elected officials as part of the community is something I think we've all lost because we've become disengaged and to a certain extent the political machinations have excluded, I think, the constituent from participating in some of those more in-depth discussions. But the re-engagement is great. I made I think there was one comment about, why do we have a Rocky Mount Police Department? Well, the nuance of that is if you're a municipality, you have to have, as a municipality, your own police department. So that was a subtle nuance that I didn't appreciate with my comment relating to the Sheriff's Department. So that explained it and kind of made sense. Whether you agree with that or not is besides the point. Dear, there must be very dry air in here.
Probably. Well, the window's open, the fan's going. And
yeah, there we go. Billy, I believe there's a lawsuit coming your way. I'm not quite sure this is an environment that.
Well, I tell you what, anybody that wants to sue me, as long as you want to pick up my debts, by all means, you can rock and roll with it.
Run away, run away.
So I guess I guess wrapping it up, it's Tuesday. That's where the rubber meets the road.
In so many ways, but locally, let's make a difference, people.
Well, before we get off here, let's talk real quick about our endorsements. And I know, Simon, you mentioned a few episodes ago about somebody running for the Board of Supervisors in Snow Creek that you really wanted to say.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think about getting another plug or endorsement or whatever. As far as Board of Supervisors, the chap that I look at, in a good light, because he has the same, I think, constitutional, conservative opinions as me, perhaps, is most aligned with how I would present myself is Ron Shiflett. I think he'd be a great representative for Snow Creek. And I say this with caution, but I would like to see the local boards a little bit more representative of the constituents that are within Franklin County. Now, this may put a few people's noses out of joint with regards to their progressive agendas and all that good stuff. But, you know, I am very anti-progressive. And in my mind, I've justified that on more than several occasions, so I'm not going to go over it. But to have a conservative guy behind, and one that supports the Constitution, I mean, these are the things that I think Franklin County is all about. There's a libertarian angle as well, of course. But Ron Shiflett is your man for Snow Creek. You know, I'm pretty convinced of that. I'd like to get his name awareness out there, and if this podcast does that, I think I've done a good job. You know, he's standing firm with education and local politics, and he's a good man. So, as far as I'm concerned, locally, he's the guy I'd put my tick against if I lived in Snow Creek.
Well, I guess as far as the town's concerned, of course, Phillip has our endorsement.
100%.
And that's not just because he's come on the show. That's because I've sat here and listened to him on multiple occasions. I listened to him last night at the forum up at Living Proof Brewery, which you haven't been up there yet. Go up there. It's a good place. Good atmosphere. Beautiful view of downtown Rocky Mount.
How's the beer, Billy?
It gets the job done.
Well, I mean, here speaks a Budweiser drinker, so I'm not even going to take
I'm not a
your word
Budweiser
for
drinker. I'm a drinker. This just happens to be what's sitting in front of me.
Just check.
I'm not one to turn much down. That being said, you know, of course, Phillip, and that's somebody, like I said, we've only known him for about a month here, but I can appreciate somebody's vision, and I can appreciate somebody's honesty, and I can appreciate somebody actually coming on the show and putting it out there. Same respect goes to Holland, albeit a little more reserved. But he's got a different position he's shooting for. You know, the mayor is a different beast altogether than the town council. So, you know, it is what it is. At least he still had the balls to come on here. And so,
I mean, we've had a good few off the record chats with Ben Mullins, who's
disappointed he didn't come on here.
I am a little bit, but you know what?
Because I do actually like Ben. Ben is a cool.
Yeah,
cool,
he's
cool
a good chap. I mean, he's got youth on his side. I think he's got a little bit of get up and go, and he's going to stand his ground.
I was super impressed by him last night at the event. His answers were
They're
sharp.
Solid. They
were
solid.
sharp. I mean, you can tell this is not just something that he just did on a whim. That it's something he's really put some thought and effort into. And yeah, I mean, I'll definitely throw my hat in his ring too. As far as the rest of them are concerned, I can't sit here and say yay or nay either, because I haven't had those interactions with them. I haven't had them come up and be genuine with me. So I have to hold judgment. But on the other hand, you know, your silence is very deafening. You know, you're not showing up to these events. You're not showing up on the show.
We don't know if that's been, you know, one of the edicts from a closed-door meeting that, you know, none of you...
That's not my concern. That's not my concern.
I agree.
Yeah.
They should be bucking that.
They should be on here defending themselves. They should be defending against, you know, the allegations and the accusations and the...
Well, none of them are against town councilmen in particular.
Well, I think the problem is politicians forget they're not there to represent the benefit of Congress or whatever office they have. They're there to represent the public that put them in there.
And so, that's been lost.
That's been lost. So if
across the board, I may add.
You know, I've actually thought the same thing because none of the town council members have ever visited my building. So I was thinking, has that come down from high? But if it's coming down from on high, you could go, no, I'm sorry. I don't answer to someone on the board. I answer to the public. And so
you've raised a very good point there. And that drives me into a little bit of a rant. so forgive me. You're used to it by now. But if you guys haven't had the courtesy, and I'm all about manners, and if I'm going to use some foul language, I'll apologise for it now. If you guys haven't had the courtesy to show up and even enter the premises of the Morris Hotel and what's going on there, you have no business serving on council. Because this is an integral part of what's happening with the development of Rocky Mount.
And it's not just a hotel; it's every business. You should be visiting. At least in the
about
beginning.
The burger company. I'm sure they're in there.
Every
at the burger
business,
company.
you just show up.
You're not answerable, and you know your absence on the job and silence, as you said, is deafening. Think about that, because in 2 years. There's another 2 or 3 of you that are up for a knock-in too.
Yeah, if I got to, I'll go in there and clean house as much as I don't want to, as much as that just despises entering the den of vipers, as you say. I'll go in there and do it. I'll be the most popular candidate on the planet and the least popular politician because I will slash everything, but I will get up in crawls if I have to, and I will recruit a bunch of other people in this town to get up in crawls as well. That's what it takes. You can't kill an idea. You can't kill an ideology.
But I don't want to finish on a negative.
We're not going to finish on a negative.
I really don't.
Well, before we get to that, to finalize our endorsements, I just want to say there is one out there that I absolutely encourage you not to vote for, because this man shouldn't be trusted with a potato gun, and he's proven himself time and time again through his abhorrent behavior on social media. As somebody who's 70-some years old, you should be watching Murder, She Wrote or Matlock. You shouldn't be out here trying to make decisions for a town. And if you are going to make decisions for a town, for the love of God, don't sit here and belittle and berate your constituents. And that goes for anybody and everybody that's got a question. So Ben Pinkard, I can't imagine anybody outside of your family voting for you, especially after this past month. And I applaud anybody in this town that avoids, as you say, punching the ticket for him. You have shown to be just a little man with some kind of chip on your shoulder. I can't imagine where it's come from. It was unprovoked, but at this point in time, we've offered invites, extended invites. Come on here and give your side of the story. And you've chosen not to, but you still have chosen to continue to fan the flames. So for that, you just show. I mean, to me, that just shows a lack of maturity for somebody that has boasted about his previous experiences as commissioner of the revenue, which God, I can't imagine how many times he ran unopposed. Like, your immaturity is there. I'm 40 years old. I probably shouldn't be acting as immature as I do on social media. I enjoy it from time to time, and I really enjoy going back and forth with him.
But you're not holding political position.
But I'm not trying to go for a political position. So at the least, when you go and you vote, Phillip and Ben, if you got to vote anybody else, just, or Holland, and if you got to, just leave Ben Pinkard off. He's not fit to hold off. He's not fit to run his own household at this point in time. So let's end on a positive note then, because that's my rant.
Hey, the positive note is you've got a great opportunity to change the course in the development and progression of Rocky Mount, and you've got 5 days in which to make that count. So I'm saying I've said it again and again. We've got Phillip, Holland, and Ben Mullins. These guys have got the vision. It cannot be put any plainer. Yeah. The destiny of your place of abode is in your one hand, one tick. Make it count.
And also keep in mind that you have until Saturday for early voting. So, and it's my understanding that they are going to be open extra hours on Saturday to vote for early voting. If I think Tuesday is not supposed to be the greatest weather, but if you'd like to, it's supposed to be beautiful this week. Go on out, do some early voting, and let's get this job done, and let's
make it count.
Yeah, grab your mom, grab anybody you know that can vote. Tell your neighbors, just go out there and just do it. Because if we want to, improve on this town, this is a golden opportunity for us to do it. As far as the rest of it's concerned, I don't think we got anything else, do we?
Well, I think actually after the results are established, I think we need a response. And let me tell you, I believe champagne will be involved.
Well, that's on you. We'll leave the champagne
I'm that
duties
guy.
up to you, because that champagne sounds like some European stuff. And
No, it's very good for you.
because we got some Franklin County stuff in here too, we can pull out to celebrate as well.
Yeah, that gets
we want to go
me.
down that peanut butter and jelly route. You
It's
did
a
on
bit
the-
too quick, isn't it?
Yeah. So, before we get out of here, catch us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Appalachian Podcast, patreon.com/Appalachian Podcast for an opportunity to support us, opportunity to keep the lights on in here, and for us to be able to promote this show on other levels, get more people involved, all that kind of good stuff. We certainly appreciate everybody out there that does that every single month. And for, again, the Rocky Mountain Burger Company for providing us with food on multiple occasions, and for Brian for being a phenomenal guest, and much like Phillip, somebody that really wants this town to thrive and does have a little bit of skin in the game. So for all that, we appreciate that. So go down there and check him out. Check the Burger. If you haven't been to the Burger Company, find a good evening. Go down there. They got live music from time to time. Just go follow them on Facebook, and you can keep to date with all that kind of stuff. Anything else?
I'm wondering if you're going to do sort of a martini bar in the hotel. I think that would be rather civilized.
We may.
Excellent.
Oh, yes. Come home to Christmas. We will be set up on Main Street in Rocky Mount in the foyer of the Morris Hotel. And
December 2nd, I believe.
I don't know how we're gonna approach it. We're just gonna set the stuff up. Talk to Phillip for a little bit. Maybe we'll talk to Brian. Anybody that wants to come in there and give 5 minutes about what you think needs to be done.
Everyone has an opportunity to rant like
Yes,
we have.
anybody that wants to come rant, come in there, find us, tell your wife, go stand in line, get you some cotton candy for the kids. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna speak my piece. We're not going to hold you to 5 minutes, but let's try our best to keep most of them to 5 minutes. Let them rant, and then go on about our business. You can you can rant against us if you want to. Tell us how much we suck and how we're a bunch of scum sucking fascists. I don't really care. Just come in here and support downtown and be there. Spend a little bit of money and come hang out.
Do it. You know it makes sense.
Alrighty. So for Simon Winch, Phillip Bane for Town Council. Make sure you vote Holland Purdue, Ben Mullins. We'll see you next time.